And from Minnesota,
Miss Masa Kruma, Felmausa Queen, Your Royal Highness.
Gave us his support, even when the time we were discouraged.
وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وكريمنا وشفيعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على عبدك ورسولك.
I ask every one of you when you come here, be respectful. If you don't have anything to say, just give a mic to people who want to speak. You only have
Circle. Yes, circle we do.
Forget about everything and re-establish your relationship, inshallah, as Muslims.
Until the day of Qiyamah, that will always be. But please, gentlemen.
Do solemnly swear to serve honorably.
Before you even know it. That didn't go down well with Abdullah ibn David.
And even extended invitation to him to move to their respective states because of his courage.
Billy, who is the president of the Latino Mandingo Association of Philadelphia, of Pennsylvania, sir.
Of the Wisconsin Mandingo Association in many years to come. I would also like to welcome you to tell
Muslims, believers, unite on the way of Allah. Sometimes they call it habl is actually a cable or a rope, but it's not the literal meaning.
It's a reconciliation process. Going to talk about issues.
Yes.
Hypocrisy in Islam is not good also. You have to practice, you have to follow the.
Thank you, Brother Light. Thank you very much. Okay.
The association for having allowed us to be here today. The total reconciliation.
Allah's name, the Tawheed. Allah, there is no synonym, there is no what they call mustana to Allah. Allah is Allah. Allah is Allah.
Thanks and appreciation to all of you for coming, responding to our invitation, the highest level.
He has to go and pick up one of our elder. But anyway, we're just gonna proceed. Well, the main fact that we are here.
So, Madam, Komini.
We don't hear you.
I want the market to be so.
They wrote the religion of Islam, put it under their mark so that we will see it. And that's why we did not forget Islam. Most of us
because in most of our organizations like this, after we are out of here,
Collaboration. I'd like to extend myself to each and every one of you, to the organization.
Moi, Moussa, c'est vous d'affaires.
VP for operations, please come on stage. No, be. Mr. Kone cannot make the trip because he just had his mom.
The chairman of the board of directors, Mr. Inaugural,
to enable the TRC to bring this work to us. They're not paying Minister applications needed.
Mr. Chairman of the Board of Directors, can you please bring our beautiful queen? Mama,
Excuse me. Siesta,
Not only here in the United States, but everywhere in the world, more especially where we came from, our homeland. Most of you were in Philadelphia during the All Madingo Convention. We initiated that. And we're going to continue this everywhere we meet in the United States, in any Madingo community, to carry this traditional hour so that we can bring about issues affecting our community, find a resolution to it, reconcile, so that we will move forward. And first of all, I ask every one of you, when you come here, be respectful. If you don't have anything to say, just give a mic to people who want to speak. You only have 5 minutes. Our imam will open this with 5 minutes. Our imams will also close it, with 5 minutes. Every speaker that comes up here going to speak based on the institution they come from. We have some institutional leaders among us here. The community, people are speaking here based on the community. I know everyone will all have something to say. People are also speaking here because they are elder in our community. We want to give them the respect to give us some wise solution to our issue completing our community. We invited our Imam Zakaria, who is the Imam for this mosque. We have representative of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Liberia, Mr. Ahmed Salif is here. We have president from various Madingo community. They share this. It's a reconciliation process. Going to talk about issues, solutions in 5 years, in 10 years. It's not about us, our children, not about the Western way of living. We also have to focus on our tradition, our religion, where we came from. And following that, I believe, inshallah, when we follow that, Allah will guide us in the right way that He stated in Surah Al-Fatiha. So, Imam.
More. But I would like my brother Kalim to give a very short introductory opening for you. I've already given my introduction. And what we have for you is to pray. We have been praying and we pray that Allah make things easier. Forget about everything and re-establish your relationship, inshallah, as Muslims. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah, inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa natubu ilayh. Inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa natubu ilayh. We'd like just to mention very, very few things. One of the most difficult things to do is to speak. from now, for the next 5 years, I heard, the next 10 years, and for our kids and for our grandkids. And inshallah ta'ala, for their kids and their grandkids. However, as we've just seen in the last few moments, a sense of organization. And what's very interesting is that I've seen in the last few moments that everyone wants to participate in the organization. This, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, this is min al-na'matullah azza wa jal. Even though it sometimes looks like it's a disorganized matter of organizing, everyone was participating. I must have heard 10 or 12 voices. Go this way, the sisters here, open up here, this. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. As long as we keep this kind of spirit, then inshallah ta'ala, we will progress. This is what progress is made about. It's of course not made, from laziness and from negativity. As Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make a dua, na'udhu billahi min ajiz wa min kasal, that I seek refuge with Allah from negativity and from laziness. So alhamdulillah, this we haven't seen today. No laziness or negativity. However, I'd just like to make a few quick comments. One, if we call to mind, that Allah Azza wa Jal, that we hear in the Quran, we find from the Quran, this ayah says, what we find in Surah Munafiqun, وَلَلَهِ الْإِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَكِنَ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Here, that, to Allah is the honor, all of the honor, al-Izzah. Al-Izzah, وَلِلَهِ الْإِزَّةُ. So Allah, to Him belongs the honor, and to His messenger. Number two, to His messenger. And number three, now, subhanAllah, to the mu'mineen. So here, the same word, al-Izzah, is for Allah, is for His messenger, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's for the mu'mineen. Now, if we are mu'mineen, then of course, obviously, we have an honor, we have an opportunity, rather, to participate in this honor. And this honor, al-Izzah, of course, as we know, is not a small thing. It's not. In the last maybe 1 minute, we'd just like to make maybe one more reminder. We'll take maybe 1 more minute, 60 seconds or so, about this Izzah. It's of course not a small thing. However, this Izzah is depending upon whether our iman, are we really mu'mineen? Or are we something different from that? This iman, what is this iman? What is it? Well, of course, typically we say it's faith, It's faith, or it's having a kind of faith in Allah Azza wa Jal. However, the iman, of course, as we know from our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he himself talked about iman, that when he said that iman is like a thawb, maybe jalabiyah is like a thawb, that the iman itself becomes worn out, just like a cloth, like a robe can become worn out. So it has to be repaired. How do we repair the iman? This reparation is through taqwa, of course, as we know. Taqwa, fear of Allah, warding off evil, staying away from evil. This is the repair, it's the guard, actually a guard, a sense of security. It secures the iman. Taqwa is demonstrated, of course, by actions, like the actions that you've come here today. Everybody has traveled, got up out of bed, put in very, very beautiful clothing, took ghusl, wudu, all these kind of things in preparation with hope that inshallah ta'ala will get some benefit out of this meeting today. So this is demonstrates taqwa. It's warding off of evil, going toward that of good. And as long as there's this kind of behavior, this kind of activity, then our iman will be protected. So the iman remains strong. Right after that, we find from Surah Al-Baqarah, in the last few seconds, when we find immediately, right in the Quran, we open the Quran, and we find immediately Allah is giving us instructions that will protect us for our entire life. So we find the first mention is taqwa. Hudan lil-muttaqin is the guidance for those who ward off evil, for those who fear Allah. Hudan lil-muttaqin alladhina yu'minuna. So now we find iman, yu'min. So here we find that first is the mention of taqwa, secondly is the mention of iman. It's just a quick reminder that the honor really belongs to those who belongs to Allah, belongs to His Messenger, and belongs to the mu'mineen. Last point. Let's please remember that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that al-Muslimu musawi ka'asnan al-musht. And this, I believe, is a reflection of what Sheikh al-Ghariyah was saying. That if we have any kind of differences or difficulties, then resolve those. Because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-Muslimu musawi ka'asnan al-musht, that the Muslims are equal like the teeth of a comb. So the Muslims are equal, no matter where we came from, no matter what language, no matter how we look, no matter what we dress, no matter how much money, all these kind of things. No matter what kind of mansions we live in. Al-Muslim wal-Musawi ka'asnan al-Mushrik. If there is a difference, there is a difference in our taqwa. So inshallah ta'ala, may Allah make each and every one of us very successful and make us min al-mu'mineen, make us the true believers, but make us min al-muqarrabeen. Make us from those who are getting, near close to God and Jannah. But make us min al-mukarrineen. Make us amongst those who are really have honor. Well, jazakumullahu khairan.
We are just sitting behind you, and any good input that we have in the process of your speech, inshallah, we'll try to support. Assalamu alaikum.
Speed to this process, because time is fast spent in the surah to give us some word of wisdom and to give us a little bit of direction, and then we just go based on the program sheet and to come to the point we want to do.
Alhamdulillah, nahmadu wa nasta'inu. لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وكريمنا وشفيعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على عبدك ورسولك ونبيك محمد صاحب المعجزات والآثار والدلالات والكرامات والأنوار وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأهل بيته الأخيار وأصحابه الأبرار والمهاجرين والأنصار والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أيها إخوة المسلمون السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, our host, Muslim brothers and sisters, we feel deeply honored by your comments, welcoming us as believers in Baytullah, in the house of Allah. Particularly when you made reference to the fact that Allah is informing us, Man dakhalahu kana amina. Anyone who enters the house of Allah, that person will find security. That is more encouraging for us. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm also honored by your invitation to say a few things to you. I know you know, but it's a special honor for me to be called upon to say a few things to you. The Quran itself, one of the names of the Quran is dhikr, meaning reminder, constant reminder. But let me just give you a brief historical account about when the Prophet ﷺ left Mecca to Al-Madinah al-Munawwara. When he went to Al-Madinah, what did he try to do in the first place? And the reason I'm explaining this, because the foundation of our actions as believers, though we may call ourselves Mandingo, but the foundation should be based on Islam, because this is what we believe. As a believer, you cannot divorce yourself from the Sunnah of our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet of Islam والسلام, left Mecca and he went to Al-Madinah, first he established masjid, the place of worship for the believers, the place of assembly for the believers. Then the second action he undertook was al-ukhuwatu fil Islam. He established Islamic brotherhood, unity, Islamic brotherhood. This was the action undertaken by the Prophet of Islam that we all confess that we are following. Al-ukhuwatu fil Islam, Islamic brotherhood. Now I want to talk to you. The Quran is teaching us something, and we have totally misconstrued this. Not only our tribe, but the rest of the, I can say the world community have misconstrued this ayah of the Quran in Surah Al-Hujurat. Allah is informing us, human beings, Ya ayyuhan, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. You mankind, is that I have created you for male and female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ, and also made you into nations and tribes. Why? لِتَعَارَفُوا, to know each other. Now, to know, you can know sometimes and you try to ignore it, but to acknowledge it, it's a matter of must. You have to acknowledge it. Now, sometimes even in the Mandingo setting, you have the Mangamari, you have the Konyaga, the Buni, and all of that. All of them are important. The reason why Allah created you into nations and tribes is to know each other and acknowledge the affairs of your brothers, your community. Because, like for instance, if all of us, Allah just created us individually, you come like places like here, how will you even have an organization? You don't have the same thought. You don't have the same thought process. It would have been difficult. But Allah put us together like this, the ta'aruf, not to divide ourselves on the basis of personal interest. No. Now, our Rasul is informing us, you cannot be, alayhi salatu wasalam, a believer. Now, look at this. You cannot be a true believer until you love each other. لا تؤمنوا حتى تحبوا. You cannot be a true believer. You can't say a believer, wallahi, except you love each other. This is compulsory upon believers. Like the Imam said to you, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِخْوَةً. Allah say believers are but one single brotherhood. One single brotherhood. Allah is informing us, نَحْنُ أَوْلَادَ عَلَاتٍ مَعَشَرَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. He said, we are prophets, both from different mothers. But dinuna wahid, but our religion is one. We are brothers. Masha'Allah al-Anbiya. Awlad alad. Children born of different mothers. Wa dinuna wahid. This is the focus. Our religion is one. In some other surah, at this Surah Al-Anfal, Allah said, فَأَصْلِهُ ذَاتِ بَيْنِكُمْ. Now this is the process we have come today. And this is my appeal to each and everyone. The focus should remain. The focus on idhukun. Qala Rasul al-Kareem. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us, your strength, idhukum bi-ijtimaikum. Your strength lies in unity as believers. Wa dhullukum bi-iftiraqikum. But whenever you find this, our community is weak and people are defeating us, it's because of division among us. Even if not for ourselves, but don't we think about a tribe? Putting our tribe together, that is very essential. Compromise your individual interests because you want for this tribe to survive. You want for this tribe to continue to shine. In West Africa, there is no tribe like Mandingo. With all this respect, because Mandingos occupy almost most of the countries in West Africa. With all due respect to other tribes, if you look in Mali, in Senegal, even in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, in Guinea, in Cote d'Ivoire, all of the countries almost in West Africa, in Gambia, you are dominating. Now the survivor of that institution rests upon your shoulder, not personal interest. Please compromise your personal interest. People left their property from Mecca because they believe in the unity of Islam. They believe in the survivability of Islam. Left all their properties and their family members and go with Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because they wanted to see the survival of Islam. You can still do that. You are there. You are there. You are the hope. A beacon of hope for our brothers and sisters back home. But if we fight and force among ourselves, we are dashing away their hope. Until we can do greater things, wallahi al-azim. Leadership. And leadership, everyone cannot be at the same time. It's impossible. Of course, we are in a democratic nation, so we follow the footsteps of the whatever practices here. Not totally with the Sharia, because even the Quran talk about shira'atan wa minhaja. There's a secular law and also spiritual law in the Quran. And so, accepting the secular law here is not against Islam, as long as it's not violating the fundamental principles of Islam. If there is any law here that they should not perform is salat, of course you can accept that because that is against the fundamental principles. But if it's a law to guide the community, you have to follow that. But talking about leadership, leadership will come to the ornament or the supporters or whatever. Leadership is what they call amana. It's a trust. If you have been elected or selected, whichever way, as a leader, a Rasul or the Quran is teaching us to discharge that trust faithfully. You have to discharge that trust faithfully. But many times, when we are giving it, it's an obligation upon the leadership to unite the people. It's an obligation upon the leadership to be fair and honest with the leaders, with the people. Some of the qualities of leadership. It's the Abdul Mulufa. A leader must be forgiving. Now, competition to be victorious or defeated. So why after the competition we still fight? This is the pronouncement. If I say I'm contesting for a leadership, all that I'm saying, I want to accept both either defeat or victory. So if you are defeated, it's about time to unite. But why are you going to get back then? Allah, when he came back to Mecca, the triumphant re-entry into Mecca, what did he do? He said, La tasriba alaykum al-yawm. No reproach on you. This is the man. The people fought him. They wanted to kill him many times. They killed most of his companions to destroy the religion. He came with forgiving heart because why Allah has given him victory. He said, La tasriba alaykum al-yawm. Let's see Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, his brothers, they sold him into slavery for little or nothing. What can you feel him in as Zahirin? And they were so satisfied with whatever they did. And look at when the brothers came, there was a famine in the whole region, not only in Egypt. They had to travel from Palestine to come to Egypt to looking for food. Sayyidina Yusuf was in the best position to have suffered those people. But what did he do? What did he do? He forgave them. La tasriba alaykum al-yawm. Look at what he said. Like the Imam here was talking about taqwa. Look at the essence of Surah to Yusuf is summarized in just a very short phrase in the whole surah. It's Sayyidina Yusuf. Look at his response. It's إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِ وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. It's anyone who fears Allah, who is conscious of Allah and exercise patience. Because when this lady wanted to seduce him, he feared Allah. When his brother died, they did all of this to him, he exercised patience. إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِ وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ أَلَا لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Wallahi, Allah will not reduce the reward of those who do good. And so now Yusuf, he became triumphant. He didn't come from Egypt, but he became the leader because of his patience, because of taqwa. Now, when I talk about Abdul Muluk, the best leader among us is the one who fulfilled these three conditions as mentioned by Rasul. Arafa. You have to be forgiving. You went into competition, Allah has given you victory. It's more than reacting again. Wallahi, Allah has given you victory. Arafa, you have to be forgiving. Waljud, you have to share. Even if it's greeting. That's the way we in America, everybody, we don't have enough. But if people come to even offer them, if it's water, share with them. Waljud. They don't have to ask you, adil. Now, this is the most difficult one. You have to be just. Now, justice here is not just judging between two brothers who come to you. No. That's one way. If two brothers come to you, they explain, say, well, my brother, you are right, you are wrong. You apologize to them. Yeah, that's one way. But what about if something happened between you and one of your members? What would be your position? When you have power, you can say, well, I don't want to listen to you. And then you look upon yourself. You say, well, even though I'm in leadership today, but I wronged you. Please forgive me. Can we do that? And this is exactly what our Rasul is teaching us. Whether we like it or not, I'm not speaking for anyone here. I'm speaking for what the Quran says, what the Hadith say, the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also understanding fully what's going on in the community. I have to say, you asked me to say, so I'm not going to say what will please us individually, but I'm going to say exactly what ought to be said. This ummah, this is the ummah, Allah himself is referring to ummatan wasatan, the most moderate community. Ummah, why we go to extremes? The way we fight each other, even on the internet. What do we do with the enemies if we want to fight the enemies? Ummatan wasatan is supposed to be moderate. But this moderacy should not just come from the followers, it also come from leadership. Ummatan wasatan. That's why Allah has given you a very unique position. لِتَكُونَ عَلَى نَاسِ الشُّهَدَاءِ. You're going to be witnesses against people, generations that passed before you. How come? Like Allah told the Prophet ﷺ, وَكُلًّا نَقُصَ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ مَا نُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. I have given you the history of the prophet that passed before you in order for you to be, that can make your heart to be, because difficulties will come your way. This iman, this faith, this our religion, wallahi, will always be placed on trial. Until the day of Qiyamah, that will always be. But please, gentlemen, one focus should be there. Unity of our tribe, of our community. Leadership, followers, we all have obligation. If we fight each other the way we fight, like what we do to our enemies, wallahi, what we do, I want to ask individuals, please think about that. If we fight the way we fight vehemently against each other, what do we do to our enemies? Please, hypocrisy in Islam is not good also. When I mention about hypocrisy, there are some people who want to be on all sides. How come in any community you always find people like this? I come to you, I want you to be my friend. Allah himself has described these people. They want to be secure with you. They want to have a secure position with you. As I leave from here, I go to other brother. The thing where Abraham said about you is the worst thing ever. You do that because I want to have a secure position with you. They don't have no one side. This is not good in Islam. Wallahi, it's not good. Look at Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, what he did to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And knowledge is not about age; it's about Allah's gift to people. Abdullah ibn Salul, when the Ghazwat Uhud was about to ensue against Medina, the second major battle when Islam Muslims fought. Also, there was no wahy, there was no revelation to him as to how to proceed to fight this battle. He gathered all his followers, his companions. By the way, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul is the chief hypocrite of Al-Madinah. So Rasul gathered these people to consult. The elder suggested that they should remain in Al-Madinah. People like Sa'ad bin Abu, let us go outside of Al-Madinah to wait for the enemies. There was no wise there. The Prophet being wise, he listened to the youngsters. Now the reason why hypocrisy is not good because you can destroy an institution before you even know it. That didn't go down well with Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul because he said, why the Prophet would listen to the young people? People like 14, 15 years old. And then these are old people. So he withdrew with the army in the face of a major battle, fierce battle against Islam. 1/3 of the army he withdrew with the force and go back into Al-Madinah. This is what he did, to destroy Islam. But look at what the Prophet did for him also. His son, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, his son said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after all the battle, before telling you what happened in the battle, he said, if you want to give order to kill my father, wallahi, he said, I will be the one to go and kill him. Look, he said, I will kill him. I will kill my father because of what he did. Look at it. Allah. Do you know what was the response of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The response from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said, do you want to say, for people to say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is killing his companions? Look at the most forgiving. This is the guy who called the Prophet almost died in that battle. Yes, companions have to shoot. They broke his foot. Yes, in that battle. Look at this. If the Prophet can forgive, in order for this institution to survive, you ought to mustaqim, like the Imam was saying, you have to practice, you have to follow or emulate the footsteps of our Rasul. So this is the danger that hypocrisy among us, our unity will break down. Wallahi, if we listen to these hypocrites, I'm not making reference to anybody, I'm just making historical references, analysis about what is happening, what has happened before, and it will still happen and affect our existence. Your followers. Sometimes you may take some decisions, immediate decisions, because maybe you don't have enough time. But when you have time, it's very essential to consult. Islam is teaching on this. You have to consult. For sure, Allah is teaching Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He shall consult them in the affairs of Islam. Consult with them. This is essential because if you consult and agree, it will not be the leadership doing it. It will be everyone involved. Please do the consultation, and so that the people feel part and parcel of what they. And then your position as a leader, Sayyidul Qawmi Khadimukum. The leader of the people is the servant. This is a position. It's not superiority. It's about what? Serving the people. That's why he asks. He say, when you say you elect me, you say you make me a servant. Insults will come. But please, don't think about your personal dignity and glory. Think about, if I accept this, will this bring unity in my community? Will this make my brothers? Wallahi. You are what? Ummatan wasatan. Ummatan wahid. This is why if you look at Allah's name, the Tawheed, Tawheed Muhammad, let's not like to use God. Because if you add S, in the English language, if you add S to God, it becomes God. So you have plural. Allah, there is no synonym, there is no what they call mustana to Allah. Allah is Allah. Allah is Allah. This is the one. The solid foundation for our religion is their unity. That's why Allah is a hang on the cable. Let's not talk about that electricity cable out there to hang on. It's the religion that they teaching us together. Wala tafaraku. Do not get away. Do not break up. Wala tafaraku. Wala tafaraku. Waskuru na'matallahi alaykum. He says you should also remember the favor upon you as believers. Allah is telling the believers then, and then that also applies to us. Waskuru na'matallahi idh kuntum a'dan, when you people were enemies. Fa'alafa bayna qulubikum. Allah brought your hearts together as believers. So I want, after all of these beautiful sayings from our imams, and what I'm, please listen. Allah, because if you were to spend everything, Allah is telling Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everything in the dunya in order to unite the hearts of those people who came to Islam later, you will not be able to unite their heart, but Allah is the one that does that. Please, and this will be my last comment. وَإِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ فِي الشَّيْءٍ وَإِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ فِي الشَّيْءٍ. My brothers, my sisters, my friends, if you have any dispute among you as believers, فَرُدُوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Please think about Allah. Bring it back to Allah. This is the book of Allah. Wallahi, Islam is everything. It governs from human embryo to its full development. From the day of the creation of the earth to the end of time, the Quran governs everything. It covers everything also. Everything we need to know. Anything regarding human existence, we have the rules and revelation in there. So please, if you don't know, come to our imams. Come to our imam. إِن تَنَزَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. But why? Even the dispute, Allah is teaching us, وَلَا تَنَزَّعُوا. Do not fall yourself into dispute. وَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. If you did, wallahi, it's you will lose focus. وَتَفْشَلُوا. This is what Allah is teaching us. Allah who created us, He knows us better than us. He knows us better than we know ourselves. When you fall into dispute, it will cause you to lose focus. If we are fighting among ourselves, the objective will be lost. Even the organizational interest will be gone away from us. If we do that, what happens to us? Not only that we lose focus, the power you have, wallahi, will go away from you. One finger cannot take. Like I can't take this. It's as simple. This finger I cannot take this. But if I put it together like this, see, it's very easy. I can easily take this. But one finger cannot take it. So this is it. I want to say to you, our tribe must be based on unity. This is what we saw our old people doing. Boyaka, Boni, Mangamari, Bamana, not important. What is important? Madingo. That unity. And it must be based on Islamic teachings. It's not important. Oh, the Kweka people like that, the Mangamari people like that, the Boni people like that. Nobody is more important. Wallahi, inna akramakum indallahi atikakum. The best of you is one who fears Allah the most. So why are we disputing among ourselves? Please, we have other speakers to speak, but please, unity should be the final goal. Let us reconcile. Reconciliation, like I mentioned to you, the Prophet reconciled with people who wanted to kill him. Brothers, we fought, but the battle is over. Unity should be in sight. We should focus ourselves to bring the people together. The people back home, the little things you work for here, you send it back to them. It can make them happy. But when they hear that you are united here, it will make them more happy than the money you send them. Wallahi. But if they hear that we are not together here, it will give them more trouble because they are so far away from us. More trouble. Everyone cannot be there at the same time. Be patient. If you are in leadership, if you are not in leadership, the same way you want, if you are there, people to treat you. If you are there, treat the undermen like that too. And then if you are fighting the leadership, the day you get there too, you should expect the same thing. We don't want that. I want to thank you for organizing this organization for Musa. It's very important. Madingos uniting, wallahi, is very important. And if we did that, we become a very formidable force in West Africa or in Africa, as a matter of fact. I want to wish you Allah's guidance and blessing. Because like we say, we make dua, wallahi. We make dua. Like Imam, we're asking to make special dua for our unity. Wallahi. We ask Allah's blessing upon this gathering. May Allah soften our hearts and our minds. We may be strong. Shaitan is busy. Wallahi. Shaitan says he will come from in front of us, from behind us, from our right, from our left, from above and below us, only to confuse us. But you must fight to be among the ibadallah al-mukhlisin. Look at the beautiful names Allah has gathered for you. Al-Muslimin, Al-Mu'minin, Ibadallah. Those who have surrendered, those who have faith, and those who are servants of Allah. And you are the servant of Allah. Al-Muslimin, Al-Mu'minin, Ibadallah. So I like to close with dua. First reading Surah Al-Fatiha, and then make short dua, and then we have other speakers to speak. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم ارحم ضعفنا وبلغنا مما يرضيك أعمالنا وأختم بالباقيات الصالحات أعمالنا أسطل الأورات وآمن الأورات أسطل الأورات وآمن الروعات أصل أوراتنا وعبد حاجاتنا اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من خيبة الرجاء ومن الدار الداء ومن شماتة الأعداء ومن الصلب بعد العطاء اللهم بارك لنا في أرزاقنا ارزقنا الحلال وبارك لنا فيه وبعد بيننا وبين الحرام مهما كان كثيرا كما بعدت بين المشرق والمغرب اللهم بصرنا بعيوبنا اللهم رب لنا أولادنا كما ربيتنا اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا مرحوما وتفرقنا منا ولا بيننا شكيا ولا محروما اللهم احشرنا في زمرة النبيين وتحت رواية حبيبنا اللهم عودنا هونا ولا تفتنا بعد ولا تحرمنا أجرا اللهم اسقنا بعدها أبدا لا ننمو بسنته وتوفنا على ملته ولا تفرق بيننا وبينه يوم القيامة حتى تدخلنا مدخلا آمين آمين يا نعم المولى ويا نعم النصير غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير وصلى الله على البشير النذير سيدنا محمد خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم استرنا بسترك الجميل اللهم استرنا بسترك الجميل اللهم استرنا بسترك الجميل الذي سترت معنا بالرحمة سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
To shorten this process because time is fast spent, we basically going to go straight to the crux of the matter. We got the TRC people here to talk to us very briefly, but we will be going straight to. One of the reasons why we came to Milwaukee was to basically foster the peaceful coexistence of our brothers and sisters here, and then to actually have another ceremony. So what we want to do at this point in time, because we already had the Secretary General of the Women Organization giving us the welcome arrangement, of the organizing committee, basically that is taking care of all of these organizations to come and give us what I would call belligerent parties to us to resolve this situation as you see it.
Thanks and appreciation to all of you for coming, responding to our invitation, the highest level. We also want to express our deepest thanks and appreciation to our Imam. It was a powerful message. Music is nothing if your audience are but a duplicate. We hope that the audience here have ears to hear. And we also like to also pray that those of us, the few of us who have come here must be those who are capable of seeing with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. Because as the chairman of the board of directors of Felmausa just lamented, the most important issue here is to be able to resolve issues, conflict that has existed between some of our brothers here for some long time. And the reason for selecting Milwaukee was one of the paramount focus so that this issue can be able to be resolved among our brothers. That's why Felmausa decided to have Milwaukee selected to have the inauguration here. And that also expresses the viewpoint that Felmausa, sorry for long distance. So we will deeply want to say that we want to welcome you And we hope that the message given by our brothers up here must be adhered to. We must have the ears to hear what has been expressed.
This is Mufrad and the other one is Jama.
This whole section ends. The Omer or Brother Duke can once more come to close this after the brothers have given us that version of the story and expressed their willingness to resolve these issues. So I want to say once more, thank you very much for coming. And as the brothers from Milwaukee have already officially welcomed us, we want to say thank you and welcome Fee at home. We want you to be one of the part of the peacemaking process to be able to resolve these things. Please participate behind the door to be able to resolve these things as quickly as we can. Thank you.
And we'd like to call on Mr. Conan, Mr. Mohammed Conan. Abraham, because today we have all vowed to come community. That's why we drove 15 and 5 hours to be here. I want to have a practical resolution. And in the eyes of the Imam and in this very holy place, I want us to hear from these brothers. Because if I leave here to go back to New Jersey, I want to make sure, and with the president, with the administration of Felmausa, I want to make sure that there is peace alive in this beautiful community. You have stood, you've done a lot for us as a people. For some of us, if something affects one Madinga person, or one Muslim, or one human, or one Liberian, affect every Liberian. One of the utmost reason we agenda the Felmausa arrangement is to serve as a beacon of hope for the rest of Liberia. And that's why we think that unity should be the hallmark of all of our actions. And so we are asking that these brothers come forward. Tell us what is the practical reason for peace in this place? What do they want us to pursue to bring about some peaceful coexistence? We've had some tete-a-tete before in Mr. Bennett's place, but I want to, Mr. Bennett, with all of these intentions to come and practicalize that here in the eyes of the Jamaat, so we can resolve that and I'll call everybody else. We'll do practical resolution right now. So Mr. Bennett, your turn.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kenny is not here. I'm sorry that he has to go and pick up one of our elders. But anyway, we're just gonna proceed. Well, the mere fact that we are here today speak volume of our intention. We have had a lot of consultative talking with Mr. Corney, along with AB and Basik and all the stakeholders in this whole conflict. Peace, the word peace is a relative thing, you know. You have to mean it, you have to work, you have to understand, and it comes with a lot of stuff. We have had problem here. We have differences in policy, but it has not rise to the level where we refuse any medical gathering because we have male differences. I personally can sit here and on behalf of the group that we are 100% committed to peace.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd.
There's no other interest that's bigger than this interest that all the speakers have elaborated on. Mr. President, you want me to continue? Yes, sir. Thank you. I have to. Okay. All right. That is Mr. Corney. You can see the Corney just dominated everything. Another Corney just came in. Oh, okay, the sheriff here too. All right. Basically, this madness today is being put to rest by God's grace. With the support of all of our friends and brothers, despite we had some opposition to the formation of Felmausa, our crisis is older than Felmausa. But it progresses into other stuff and it goes beyond the understanding of the common man. We all make mistakes. We all have had some misstep during the beginning of this conflict. But as I speak to you right now, we all have clear conscience to put this madness to end. It's affecting our women, it's affecting our children, and it's even affecting generation yet unborn. The conflict, this is not about me, it's not about Kenan, it's not about Kone, it's not about any other person here. Whatever that affect one Madigo man, I'm not going to be everywhere to defend my side. You know, it's going to affect everybody. So not only we talk peace, we have to work to support this peace. We have to have positive peace. You know, we have to have positive peace. We have to respect each other. We have to respect authority as we would like to be respected. What you give in, that's what you get out. So these things have been resolved behind closed doors. We may have had other conditions attached to it, but the mere fact that we came to the table to discuss this issue speaks volume that we are committed 100% to the resolution of this conflict. And hopefully we're going to move this process forward. We talk behind closed doors, we consult with each other, and everybody said, well, this is the end of this madness and it's going to be over by today. Whatever condition we had, those were just part of the process, but it is not a condition that we put there. Without this, no peace, you know. That's not what we meant. If anyone ever thought that, they misunderstood us, and we do not want to be misconstrued that, okay, we are opposing to peace because we have some minor condition. Our commitment to peace is unconditional.
Allahu Akbar. No, you make the takbir. The Imam, we are in the masjid. Yes. Allah. Takbir. Allah. Takbir. Allah. Takbir. Allah. Walillahi alhamd.
All right, I know the more tentative issue here to be discussed is the website. We have two websites. Whatever reason that brought the two website issues to Milwaukee, that's something that we all may have had some mistake to do with that. The issue with the website, once we are part of the process, it's going to be surrendered to the appropriate authority, and it should not be used to use the website to venge anger on someone else. Our understanding of the whole process and any other like-minded person within this audience, within the website, the both websites should run alongside with each other, but they should be controlled by one single authority. That's our understanding. And that if we want to commit one of the website to our local community issue, that's also fine. That's why we came away. But these things, they are not conditioned to hold or beg for people. So with that, I rest my case.
There's no defeat in it.
One of Butters, you want to say something? Who's Butters? Are you okay? Over the weekend, over the past week, Minnesota Madinga Association and Rehoboam at differently. Actually, they are peaceful coexisting in Minnesota. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Of the peace. But we like to call on the Imam here to actually give us a few words.
Well, I think this is what everybody wanted. My administration wanted, my people wanted, and the people of Islam wanted. And this is one of the main reasons when we decided or accepted to host the first inauguration ceremony of Felmausa. I knew it was an opportunity to bring the community together, and I embraced that opportunity and take advantage of it. Alhamdulillah, the main goal that I had has been met. We as brothers and sisters, as our imams already said previously, differences through the helps of our brothers and sisters. As a leader, I have nothing much but to thank you guys for your efforts, for bringing this community together, and that's just it. Thank you. And 1 second, please. Mr. Siak, do you have something to say? He was the first person to come to Milwaukee, and we follow and others follow as well. So he's the sacrificial lamb from Milwaukee as well.
Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, the fellow from America. Johnny down for the lobby. Calabuli no Camfo. Wa bin Africa Kuma Sukanelo. So, Madam, come in. We don't hear you. I want the marketing so I'm open. Oh, Imam. I want to see you. Okay, thank you. Imam, I'm very sorry, but you know, these are my people. I know. I'm the most excited man today here. When I came here in 1995, I was only Madingo in this mosque. So when I see people here today talking about reconciliation, talking about togetherness, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have conflict or misunderstanding if you guys are more than one or two. If you are alone, who can you reconcile with? Who can you fight with? So I think reconciliation, peace, excuse me, everything came upon our population. So I'm the most excited man. This is why I say I want to speak Madingo. Yes. So can I go ahead now?
Yeah.
I'll translate for you, sir. Thank you.
Let me go ahead.
Madam, I need you.
Brothers and sisters, thank you.
Zawadi bi katimi sawapoka. Kama so nedale yano osa itani sabali. Nena lumina me titi yano.
I'm very happy today for being here because 2 years ago when I came here, there were no Madingo person.
Mo yom ya misi na bi. Dena naminga misi la no na posile takanaya.
When I came to the mosque here, I took the bus, I ride the bus to get over here.
After a month.
After a month, I found people who showed me this area.
Now, there are a lot of
Madingo people here. To me, that is a blessing.
So
if you see confusion or conflict among us, it's because of population growth. I've been here for 10 or so years, and if I have been here by myself, who could I fight with?
So,
and this is all because of unity. The reason why we ask one another to do things is because of the importance of one another.
President Wiman,
the president of Wiman is my brother.
Secretary of Felmausa Wiman,
the secretary of Wima is my, how do you call it? Nephew. Mami Belete is a friend of mine. JD is my partner in progress. And what can I do?
So,
Uncle,
independent man.
I'm calling myself independent man among those people.
Mi Slamaya. Kube Sela, be me yan Slamaya Sela. Amana me yan Slamaya la. So Malimau, Nafaka Kumala Jinja. Nagapa de Kumabimbe Kasi. What I got Napa Megan.
That's true.
Let me know. I think now. Come on, please.
JD was his brother-in-law, uncle, and Brother Belete is his friend, and he's among them, as an independent person, and there is a conflict going on. However, if you see them resolving that conflict, that makes him really, really happy. However, he wanted to remind the audience, they brought the Belete people to Milwaukee. So therefore, if he asks them to stop, no more conflict, they should stop. And if they do not, he's going to leave town.
So, I need to Alaisa. Ala Baliamla than Ala Jiwa. Ala Sultana Poli. Yano, Dunia Fan, Mea, Slama, Ala Pecorota, Ala Mokamo Chomo Quali, Ala Morakana, Ala Hamu Noya. Ayuna Mama Bambi, Ala Mudulai, Ala Pecosea, Ibara, Hello, Ala Mopema. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
We get to you very soon. What we want to do, we want to make reference to the elders here, because this person is all about elders here, and they bear wisdom, and Imam Dugler is kind of very hard. We ask the elder here. I'd like to now take the opportunity to call the vice president, which actually vice president elect for administration. No, we call the, I don't know which one of them will speak.
Salif. I am married to Vamuye Raider of the Federation of Madingo Association. We came to Milwaukee not only for the inauguration, but to ensure that peace prevail among our brothers and sisters in Milwaukee. But I see all the men here. I got one question to ask. Where are the women in Milwaukee? Because I know the confusion that have been existing between or among the people in Milwaukee here, the women got part to play in it. It is often said that women are the custodian of humanity. Can Milwaukee Peace Conference survive without the women? I put this forward to the Milwaukee Madingo people. If the women are not here tonight, on behalf of Felmausa, we challenge you. Put the women together. Put the women together and have a peace talk of the Milwaukee women, of the Milwaukee Madingo Women Association as well. My husband and somebody made first, or my brother and somebody made first, they will always come, they think between Mr. A and myself. They think between Mr. X and myself. You know? But I would always tell my husband, hey baby, forget about that thing. We need to forge ahead as a Madingo people. Having gone through almost 12, 13 years of civil war in Liberia, one of the objectives of Felmausa is to put the Madingo people together. Put them together so that we can be aware and know each other's problem. The time for violence is over. This is time for Madingo unity.
Takbir. Takbir.
This is time to reconcile with each other. But my brothers and sisters, can you reconcile? Can you really, really have peace if the women are not involved? Yes. I can tell you, this is partial. It is partial until you can have the total involvement of women. You need to involve the women. Look, I was reading, I have read the Holy Quran, I have read the Bible, and I have read the Torah. There is a verse in the Torah that states that the women were created from the side bone of the men. Why did God? Okay, they did that because they wanted for the women to be the companion of the men. Why God didn't go in the bush, you know, find a stake and say, you are taking this stake here to make woman out of it. They took the side bone of the men. So the Milwaukee men there, we only here as Felmausa, and we're here to talk peace and to have our inauguration. But I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed. Where are the women? We need them. You know, this is Mahaya Masache. She came from all the way New York. You know, And this is another lady I know from Monrovia. Malama. Yeah, I think she's from Minnesota too. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is, on behalf of the Federation, on behalf of my family, we are happy to be here to form part of this peace talk, but you need a total involvement of the women. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Generation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan, in the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful. Before I say anything further, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Eric Bram from Chicago, to be here today to participate. As Milwaukee Madingo Association for having allowed us to be here today. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Liberia has come to America, to us. It has gone to Europe. It's in the West African sub-region. So that's why we're here. That is systematically engaging its diaspora population as well as the people in the country where these violations have occurred. So the Liberian TRC is making history on several fronts. But at another opportunity, hopefully we'll go more in depth in some of the mandates of the Commission. But like it was said, please, let's have your attention, please. I'll be very quick. That bill. I'll be very, very quick. I know time has been fast spent and we're very cognizant of that. But we, as Madingo people, we must recognize this process. We must participate. And we will talk more about that. We all know the very many reasons why it is necessary that we participate. But just to talk a little bit about the process, I know hopefully tonight there will be another opportunity, so I won't take all of your time. But this basically, Minnesota Advocates for Human Rights is an international human rights organization that has the mandate as well to establish accurate historical record of what happened in Liberia during this period, as well as to correct or rectify the history that led to injustices, that led to conflict, and that led to marginalization. The Commission is as well interested in human rights violations that may have happened to you. This brochure you have here again will talk a little bit about that may have happened to you, to your family, to your community, and your recommendations and opinion for moving forward. For reform, systemic reform such as security sector reform, judicial reform, legal reform, and civil sector and civil society reform. So we all have something in this TRC process, regardless of our views, regardless of our opinions. Because the Commission's work will end next year, or probably the following year, but it is only a springboard, a beginning to several other justice or transitional justice processes. Those who are interested in prosecution or justice or mere reconciliation or compensation, whatever it is, let us participate in the TRC process, give our stories, and testify, give our testimonies. During the public hearing space as well, I encourage all of us to participate. So tonight, we will be at the ball. We will have a table with, again, this will be literature, and I apologize for having passed this literature around when other discussions were taking place. We didn't mean to be disruptive, but we also realized that time had been fast spent, and we wanted to have the opportunity so that we can read these, in going into the program. And that's why we're here tonight. So we were anticipating that events like this will have had a longer period of time where, say 10 minutes or 15 minutes, where we could just ask people's views. Perhaps that's possible in the next 2 minutes, I don't know. For people to just comment freely about what they feel about the process, perhaps what happened to them. And then Eric will just take the notes, he will take notes and record that. No one's name will be attached to that, because the Commission has also authorized us to take statements like that, or group statements or group discussions. But again, tonight we will make an announcement, and those of you who may be so inclined to give your statements privately, we have people here who are trained to take statements, and we'll be happy to provide that. We're here fully ready to do that. So again, I'd like to thank the leadership. I'd like to thank everyone for having listened to us. And indeed, before I close, as someone from mediation background, the resolution, the reconciliation process that we witnessed here today was very beautiful. and we appreciate that we in Minnesota, we've been observing this very keenly and of course have a lot of interest in this. But what I will appeal to the Felmausa leadership, these parties behind closed doors somewhere, put political things on paper, okay? It's not an agreement that's okay, it must be enforced like this. But for instance, in the website issue, I know you can handle that, but just as an appeal so that you don't overlook that aspect, so that there are other nitty-gritty issues that should be resolved with the leadership, with the core group, before we leave from it, to ensure that this peace is truly a lasting peace and to involve the women. Because as we sat back there, we kept asking ourselves, where are the sisters, where are the mothers? So let us involve them, and we're happy to be here as part of the TRC, as a Truth Commission process to witness an actual reconciliation, Palava Heart, country resolution taking place in front of us. We're very honored to be here. We thank you very much.
You have power over all things. اللهم افرج علينا صبرا وثابت قدامنا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم آمين. Allah, pour down upon us patience and consistency and make our footsteps firm and give us victory over the unbelievers. اللهم افرج علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين. Amen. Allah, pour down upon us patience and consistency and do not let us die unless we die as Muslims. Amen. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. There is no God but you, Allah, you alone. So glory be to you who is the Almighty. والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم اكرمنا بشفاعة نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. And Allah, give us the shifa. Give us the shifa of our Prophet, of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. May the peace and prayers be upon him and upon his family. Ameen. والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.
Please take a seat on the podium. And I'm done. One of our, where is the president of Atlanta Maniwa Association?
Rising applause. Miss Masa Kruma, Felmausa, Queen, Your Royal Highness. Talata Sherry, can you walk out a dynamic queen last stage? Thank you, Madam Queen.
Happy to tell our story. The Reconciliation Commission headed by Mr. Sharif. Can you go on stage? Please give me a round of applause. Yeah, I'm getting tired, did not sleep. The nation of Felmausa was established. Honorable Ishmael, like I said, my name is. Tonight, I was given the honor to 2 minutes. Imam Honorable.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فاعتذروا منها وكذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر given us this ummah, the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of the dua. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying to us, after dua, alhamdulillah. He said the best of all the dua, the supplication we made to Allah is alhamdulillah, which is the opening chapter of the Quran. It tells everything about the whole Quran. Hunna umul kitab is the mother of the book and is the best dua. So when we get there, I will ask all of you to rise up to read Surah Al-Fatiha. If you don't know it, if you're a Christian who have been invited here, please read the Lord's Prayer. Because it also points out to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Father who art in heaven, meaning He's alone there. Okay, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will take place. Please do that too. Muslims, believers, unite on the way of Allah. Sometimes they call it habl, is actually a cable or a rope. But it's not the literal meaning Allah is talking about. It's talking about the unity in this faith. This ummah, hold together, all together, wala tafaraku. Do not divide yourself into segments. I'm this group, I'm that group. No, don't do that. وَاذْكُرُوا نَعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً. The Quran is telling you, brothers who have reconciled today, it says you should remember the time you were enemies. فَعَلَفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ, and then He brought your hearts together. فَعَلَفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ, Allah united your heart together today. The brothers were going apart, but alhamdulillah, the speeches today we heard, the brothers are back together. فَعَلَفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. As a result of Allah's own blessing, His intervention, divine intervention, now we are brothers again. This is the ayah. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَاءِ حُفْرَةٍ مِنَ النَّارِ. We are at the pit of destruction, at the verge of destruction. Then Allah brought us back. فَأَكَلَكُمْ مِنْهَا. Allah brought us back. So please, having reconciled, also do not make mischief after you have reconciled. Wallahi, reconciliation is good for us. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a guest speaker here and I've already spoken, so I want to just give the meaning of the verse. If you heard me reading with the tune, it is required to read the Quran that way. Okay? Zayyanu al-Quran, the Aswat of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is addressed the Quran with your beautiful voices. Sing it like a song. But it's not a song, this is the way we read the Quran. Having said that, I'd like to invite all of you Muslim brothers. Please, your unity must be like the small ant that informed his people. When Solomon said Sulaiman alayhi salam was given all the power to hear the birds, the animals, they were all part of his army. When Solomon was one day moving to a battle with his host of army, this little ant was at the pit, at the edge of it. He saw them coming. It's like he was keeping guard. Look at this little ant. Look at this little ant. This is the message he gave to his people. He told the ant to say, Ya ayyuhan naml, adkhulu masakinakum, la yahtimanakum Sulaiman wa junudan wa hum la yashkurun. You go back to your places and hide yourself before Solomon and his host of army come and destroy you. Because that little ant knew, running out, he could have, because he was outside to see, he could have run away, but running away from his community, that would not have guaranteed his security. He alone would not have survived. So he went back to his people and said, go back. Now, if this little ant can do that, this is the Quran. What about us? With the human beings, Allah has given us a sense of criteria that distinguishes good from bad. Having said that, please, I invite you, all of you, my brothers and sisters, to rise up in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to invoke Allah's blessing upon our brothers and sisters, that whatever the guest speaker is going to say to each and every one of us, will leave from here with renewed vigor, with renewal of commitment to building our society, to building our community. Let us read Surah Al-Fatiha. It's more than enough for anything that we want in our lives as Muslims. Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله إياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين وصلى الله على نبينا.
Liberia's one of the best goalies we have.
in the presence of Honorable Kasimu M. Sila. Where is Mr. Sila? Honorable Sila, please come on stage. That's the Musa election from the German. Thank you, Mr. Sila, for coming tonight. And now,
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to welcome all of you to the beautiful city of Milwaukee. It was a great honor to have Milwaukee selected as the host for Felmausa first inauguration ceremony. Therefore, I would like to say thank you to the board of directors and to women. All the members of the Wisconsin Mandingo Association in many years to come. I would also like to welcome our local guests for accepting our invitation and being present here tonight. Thank you for coming. Our appreciation goes to the Minnesota Mandingo Association President. Your commitment and hard work is respected. Thanks a lot. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, my deepest appreciation goes to the members of women for their supports and dedication. May God bless.
thank you, Mr. Kone, our host. Historical background of Felmausa. But I like to jump the gun a little bit. You know, this organization is great. And I'm sure if you have your program, you see a little write-up on the organization. This organization called Felmausa, which is the Federation of Liberian Mandingo Association in the USA, has a lot of goals. And nothing will stop us, even the mountain will not stop us. But I'll tell you, when this idea was crafted, and there were guys, ladies and gentlemen, who came together to put this organization to where it is today. And I really want to do that justice and call their names out. If I don't do that tonight, I won't sleep. It's something I've been thinking about, because I want you to know people who put this great organization together so we can know them. So please, ladies and gentlemen, when I call your name, please stand up, and audience, please appreciate it, because they are great minds. From Pennsylvania, we have Mr. Mohammed Bility. And God dreams. We made sure this organization was put together. Thank you, Mr. Bility. I'd like to call on Honorable Donzo. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Abu Sila, are you in the house? Okay. No matter what, he sacrificed a lot. And I'd like to call on Mr. Famo Kane, the gatekeeper. He makes sure everything goes right in Felmausa. Thank you, Mr. Kane. That's Tradition right there, one of the great minds that put this organization. And we have, he's young, very talented, he's a writer, he has written his own book, and he's here with us tonight. And he's also the president of the Liberian Writers Network in the USA. I'd like to call Honorable Vasiki and Conan. Where are you? Your humble servant from PA. You're welcome in tonight. All right. And from Minnesota, the 20 morning, that's the guy right there. And I'd like to call on Mr. Mohammed Don Atlanta. We have Honorable Laid Ray. Kasimu M. Sila, just call him few, yeah. And then from your own state, we have Mamadi Conan, our host. Great mind, and Maurice Conan. Maurice Conan, dynamic board chairman. Then we have Bobby Suarez, who is the president of the Mandingo Association. Great minds. And Light Salif. They came from that end, they also contributed immensely. And then from North Carolina, in Liberia, we have a woman president, we are trying to take control of everything. So I like them. And it's nobody else but Mistress Mamiatas Jabatia Salif. Yeah.
You know, great man, great man. Now we'll move on to the program. Congratulations, everybody. Now we come to one of the key points. We now call on Ms. Musu B. Bar to please come on. So I'd like to call on Mr. Mohammed Benete, who is the president of the Liberian Mandingo Association of Pennsylvania, to come and give us his turning over remark. He got to leave. New people coming. Mr. Benete?
From the authority from the front desk, I'm asked to call on the vice presidents to come on stage. Vice president, two vice presidents for operation and administration to come on stage. The treasurer-elect to also come on stage. Financial secretary, please come on stage. I think we can, President-elect, Mr. Sharif, President of the Mandingo Association of Minnesota, Justice Kumara and your entourage, the brothers and sisters of the Texas Mandingo Association, the established Mandingo Association, Georgia, our guests, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it is often said, success comes to those who are busy looking for it. It takes less time to do things right than to explain why you did it wrong. Tonight serve as a testimony for what we have done. For everything you do, there's always people who have committed themselves, who have dedicated themselves, who have devoted their time and effort and energy to make sure that other people can benefit from their brainchild. Tonight is a typical example of what we are here. And I want to once more call on the names that were called to please stand up again. Those names that were called just now, please stand up. Brother Bob, you know, as the effort of these gentlemen, this idea was around for many years before I even became president of the Liberian Mandingo Association of Pennsylvania. Mr. Kona served as a secretary to one of the attempts to organize a federation like this, but it did not succeed. Before I even became president of the Liberian Mandingo Association of Pennsylvania, Mr. Kona, on many times, when I became president, advised me and said, look, we have a noble idea, but we do not have the leadership to move it forward. Your coming in as a leader perhaps will help us to move. At my inauguration, Mr. Kumara, my brother on the extreme left, along with one Mariam Fofana from the Kwadobone Mandingo Association, who was the only lady president at that time, our time and effort in this idea. We decided to meet immediately after I delivered my inaugural speech, indicating that at the end of, before my term had expired, we were going to make sure that the entire Mandingo Association of the United States can come together. That was one of the promises that I personally made. On the other side of the nation, you have Brother Ishmael Kumara, all the way in Minnesota, flew to Philadelphia to make sure that the dream he had dreamed can be able to find partners. When I met Brother Kumar, there's nothing I saw in there but vision, with vision. Brother Kumar and the Corps of Officers, the representatives that were there from various states, we discussed that we should plan another meeting in Minnesota. Apparently, I flew to Minnesota after 2 weeks. I saw Brother Kroma back there from Wisconsin, Brother Mamadi Kone and his leadership from Wisconsin. We decided to organize and discuss the noble idea before anything was moved forward. And before we left, we had set up a committee that was responsible to advise on technical issues. And whose that chairman was? Mr. Siriki Kona, where is it? Later transformed to will later transform to be the Constitution Committee. There were 3 members on that committee. Brother Richmond Kona, who is now the elected president, the elected board, the elected chairman of the board. Brother Kroma was the only non-Pennsylvania resident that was always part of committees organized in Pennsylvania. So Brother Kroma was the only member on that committee. So we had 3 people on our Constitution Committee. We previously decided that it was a technical committee that would advise us how we can move these things forward. Because Brother Kwana over there had prior experience. Who devoted himself to do the first step at that conference? Who organized the first step conference? Who took up himself to pour all of the six? Everybody who knows him will give him credit. Because, look, it does not take all of the people to make a dream a reality. It just takes few people. And those few people that have decided to see with their own eyes and feel from their own hearts in the world. Brother Donzo that night and even extended invitation to him to move to their respective states because of his courage and enthusiasm. And I must commend you, Brother Donzo. Thank you. You deserve that. Was the president of the Labrador Mandingo Association in Atlanta, who gave us his support, even when the time we were discouraged. But I want to make this thing a brief something. Minnesota to attend a wedding ceremony after we had had some lapse in the progress of the organization because of the Limani situation. We were faced with a Limani situation at that time, and every membership, all of the state were taking side. And I, who was selected as an acting leader at the time, felt that the discussion was very critical. If you play with the Limani situation, it will explode and we will not achieve what we had anticipated to achieve. So the Limani situation brought us 5 months with no meeting, with no discussion. At that time, I was in Minnesota attending a wedding. Brother Kumara came to me. Brother, the spirit has died down. If this dream dies, we will go in personal responsibility. I looked around. Who was at my right shoulder was Talata Sharif. Mr. President, where's Talata? Please come forward. Already deteriorated confidence. So, Mr. President, relax. We can do this. Relax, we can do it. I think Ishmael is frustrated because Ishmael had this dream long time, and he felt that with your coming in as the new president forward. But since the demanding situation has overrun, mesmerized this whole thing, you seem to be walking slow. So we need to move forward. When we got back 2 weeks later, this man told me, Mr. President, I need your blessing. I'm ready to call all of the state to set up a planning committee, a steering committee that will be able to organize the convention. I said, Brother Sharif did not sleep. Brother Sharif did not sleep. And this is something that we all need to admire. It's not only because in most of our organizations like this, after we are out of here from ceremonies and activities, the rest of the burdens are on the respective leaders. So there must be people who are courageous enough, who have much energy, more than the president, to be able to foster certain ideas. And we need to encourage that in our community. But Sharif did not sleep. Sometimes during the preparation of the convention, this man will call me 3 o'clock a.m. Sometimes I call him 3 o'clock, he's responding. Morris, back then.
Mr. President, we're on our way to Atlanta, Georgia for a wedding ceremony. How do we do an announcement?
You understand? Sometimes when I delay, we have Brother Cromer from New Jersey will call.
You understand?
So I could see the level of spirit, the energy that these brothers committed in making this thing a reality. And I want to commend them. I want to commend them, all the brothers that contributed to this success, and I want to say thank you very much. Mr. President, on behalf, whatever we do, we're going to turn the office over. I'm honored tonight to have shared this stage with some of the promising stars of our community. Perhaps after today, those brothers that sit here today will be the future leaders of our community, because they have a dream that nobody have had in our community, and they were able to foster and make sure that the dream becomes a reality. And that's a privilege for me to have participated in that history making. Mr. President, after all of the ups and downs, I am honored tonight to present you these documents. Felmausa has been incorporated, and bank accounts are opened, and I want to say welcome.
Thank you very much.
In the presence of Honorable Chef Sako is in the house. Sako, where are you?
Begin clap, please.
Chairman and President of the various organizations here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, I'm not a female, I'm a male. I'm not the one that's supposed to be introducing the guest speaker. But unfortunately, she could not be here at this time. So I'm just the rightful person to take the rightful place. Our honorable guest speaker is a professor of history at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Africa, the Caribbean, and world history. His academic self-interest, particularly West Africa, and in conflict and conflict resolution in Africa. Our honorable guest speaker is a native of our beloved country, Liberia, and he was born in Cape Mount County onto the union of Mr. and Mrs. Connell. Our honorable guest speaker, because of his ambition and his academic foresightedness and his courage to achieve beyond what our normal imagination could see, he was awarded the Fulbright Scholarship to come home to the United States of America to pursue a graduate studies at the Master and Doctorate level at Indiana University in Bloomington. The program, he received a Rockefeller grant to conduct research for doctorate dissertation. A Rockefeller grant to conduct research for a doctorate dissertation in the area of additional enterprise and capitalistic. The role of the Mandingo in economic development of modern-day Liberia. The result of his research has been published as a book entitled Religion, Commerce, and Integration of Mandingo in Liberia. Our honorable guest speaker is currently completing 2 manuscripts. A complete history of Liberia to be published by Valen Press in 2007. And most of you are aware, Liberian history is nowhere, it's not even existing because also misleading information. So we'll have someone in our site that is going to rewrite the Liberian history. And also African American and national building in Liberia. On that. Our honorable guest speaker is also an author of numerous articles, a contribution to a series of books, and a popular lecturer of conventional cycle as well as in the media. He has been featured in local, national, and international programs designed to educate people about Africa and his beloved country, Liberia. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please stand up and welcome our honorable guest speaker of this occasion, Dr. Augustine Connor.
Let me say good evening to everyone. Good evening to you, everyone. I'm doing wonderful. What about you? You all look so pretty. Let me start by bringing greetings from who would have been here with me. Musa Kone cannot make the trip because he just had his mom pass not too long ago. And he wanted me to express his regret that he's not able to make it. So, Mr. President, Felmausa, members of the executive, various Mandingo organizations from Chicago, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and other parts of the United States. Our friends who are here with us, invited guests, all of the most important people that I've ever met in the world that are sitting up on the platform, fellow Liberians, and friends of Liberia. Let me begin by saying that how gratified I am that you honor me with this opportunity to deliver the keynote speech for what I consider a very historic and auspicious occasion. When I got a call from the Secretary, Brother Maurice Conner, I thought what an honor that's been bestowed upon me. So I came here tonight, first as a Liberian nationalist, but second, as a member of the Mandingo ethnic group. So I want you to know how glad I am to be here. And like I told my brothers and sisters, usually I don't go to speak in any place if at least they need to give me about $2,000, but I said, well, since the Mandingo people got so much money, they're going to give me $4,000. No, I'm just joking. But I'm really glad to be here. But I want to thank some special people for making this effort possible, and particularly for helping me to get here and to make me have a good time. I've had a wonderful time. I've eaten so much food. I know by the time I leave here, I'm going to put on 50 pounds. But that's not bad at all. First, I want to thank the Secretary, Maurice Conner, who I want to thank Brother Bellington, who took me to the hotel and took me to Brother Kuruma. It's so delicious. It was so wonderful. And I also want to thank the treasurer for the local Mandingo Association here in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. We went over to our house and we also had food. So we've just been eating food all the time. In fact, I said to my brother, A.E. Kuruma, I said, how are we going to get this weight out after we leave this place? What it's been asked me to address is post-Civil War Liberia. I want to begin by saying that we cannot understand community unity and empowerment in post-Civil War Liberia except that we are able to view community unity and empowerment in Liberia within the context of the Liberian state. And for us to talk about the current state of Liberia, we must look at certain indicators that will give us an image about what the current state of Liberia is today. And for that reason, I want to look at 3 indicators very briefly. One, I want to look at the educational sector of Liberia. Second, I want to look at the health sector. And then third, I want to talk a little bit about the economy sector. What is the current state of the educational system in Liberia today? Let me suggest to you that the current state of the Liberian education today is in flux. Why do I say this? The residual effect of the 14 years war and the prevailing social, economic, and political conditions continue to impact on the standard and the quality of education of Liberia today. This situation is exacerbated by poor school facilities. It's exacerbated by inadequate trained teachers. It's exacerbated by the lack of basic textbooks and school supplies, and exacerbated by overcrowdedness. Even our higher institutions of learning were not even spared by this war. They were all affected. For example, I was just in Liberia not too long ago. If we take the University of Liberia, for example, it does not have any functioning library. It's the same case for Covington University. It's the same case for the Methodist University. But even to make matters worse, the problems of the country, for example, unemployment, the high rate of unemployment and crime, the problem of water supply, the problem of electricity, all of these do have adversely effect on the educational system, but not only on the educational system, on our youth and their parents. So what we're seeing here, that the problems of the educational system, it's so problematic that even the president of Liberia surmised about the problems that we do have, and I want to quote her. This is what she says. Over the years, our educational system has produced a lot of graduates, relatively few trained people. This is because of the low quality of teaching staff and the lack of textbooks and school equipment. Recent conditions, including the tendency to buy promotion and degrees, have exacerbated these problems. As a result, the majority of those graduating from our colleges and universities hardly possess a high school equivalent education and are woefully unequipped to compete in an environment of their peers worldwide. The literacy program, therefore, important as it is, could also be revamped. Why? Since literacy without some form of skills can hardly result in a major contribution to development. So we see here the problem that lies ahead in the educational system. Let's take the health sector. When we look at the indicators that are available in terms of health and nutrition, Liberia indicator is amongst the worst in the world. Infant mortality rate is high. It's about 134 per 1,000, meaning that for every 1,000 children that are going to be born, about 134 of them will die. The maternal mortality ratio extremely high. But not only that, malnutrition is widespread. Communicable disease, very widespread. In fact, when we look at the indicators, we find out that only less than 10% of Liberians do have access to quality health care. The Liberian health care suffered from damage. Not only that it suffered from damage, it suffered from lack of funds and equipment. Not only it suffered from lack of funds and equipment, it suffered from the deterioration of support system. But not only that, it suffered from attrition and low kind of support for the motivation of the workforce. So we see here that when we look at the statistics, we can even go further that from 5 to 12% of the population of Liberia do have HIV/AIDS. This is not confirmed because we're not able to do the kind of methodology that we need to do to come up with a precise percentage. But it is also very alarming that 13% of our children are orphanage. And out of these 13%, about 36,000 of them would incur HIV/AIDS. So the point that I'm making here, that the healthcare system is in trouble. Prior to the war in Liberia, we can talk about more than 500 doctors in that country. At the eve of the war, we now have one doctor to 9,000 people, and one nurse to 1,400 people. So we see how difficult the healthcare system is. What about the economic system? We can say that the economic system, particularly during the war, can be described as a war economy. What do I mean by that? That the economy was looted and controlled by warlords. Just to give you an example, and there's a statistics that came out in 2004, that out of the 46.2 million that came out from logging, it never benefited the Liberian people, it only benefited Mr. Taylor and his cronies. So we see here that the economy is in flux. But not only that the economy is in flux, there's some neglection with regards to certain sectors, for example, the agricultural sector. And many people told me when I was in Liberia that had it not been for many of the Liberians in this country that were sending back monies to Liberia, we would have had a bigger problem today. So what I'm trying to say, that the economy is also in trouble. And because of that, we need to revamp the economy. We need to be able to take back that agricultural sector so that those who can produce will be able to produce and get their products and have access to the market. We need to be able to revamp the economy so that we can have the economy to employ the large segments of 85% of our people that are not employed. So we see here that when we look at the indicators, the picture is gloomy. And then you say, what is the state of the Mandingos in all of this? I will suggest to you that if the current state of Liberia is as I've just hinted, I will say that the current state of the Mandingo will reflect what the current state of Liberia is. What do I mean? It is the saying that the fruit is not far from the tree. The fruit is the Mandingo. The tree is Liberia. If that tree is on shaky grounds, then the Mandingo ethnic group is also in shaky grounds. So then the question becomes, what then do we need to do? Yes, as Mandingo people, we can recount our history. We can talk about how our forefathers came from the Upper Niger, Guinea Highlands. We can talk about how they established themselves in those areas that became the hinterland of Liberia. And because of their economic prowess and because of their entrepreneurial skills, were able to profoundly change the course of history and influence the culture of the hinterland. And as a result of this economic prowess, we were called all kinds of names. We were called the Jews of West Africa. We are the people that control the destiny of other people. We live and move the standard of living of other people. But that is our history. And that history is in the past. And the past is yesterday. For tomorrow is here, and we have to begin to look at the future. Because if we want our history to be respected, we must now forget about the past or build upon the past and look up to the future. The question then becomes, what do we need to do for the future? I will submit that we need to empower ourselves. And tonight what I want to do is to give you some recipe for empowerment. I want to look at some tools of empowerment. What are the tools of empowerment? The first tool of empowerment that I want to talk to you about starts with 3 things. And what are those 3 things? They are the same. Education, education, education. And not only education, but good education. Why? Because the philosopher says, good education is a guarantee for upward mobility anywhere in the world. And that's why today I am very proud when I see some of our brothers and sisters who have excelled, even here in the United States. I can understand that they have good education. But Malcolm X also said it right, that education is the passport for the future. And even the great father of soul, the late James Brown, said it, without education you might just be dead. So education is very important. Why is education important for the Mandingo people? Because it will allow us to compete globally. Why education is very important for Mandingos? Because it will allow us to compete locally, economically, politically, and socially in Liberia. You might ask me, what education do we need? I will submit to you that the education that we need is one that's got skills. And what education is that? First, we need an education of high tech. We need an education of health. And we need an education of science. Why? Even today, when you look at, and when we were at Mr. Kroma's house, he asked me the question of one of our brothers that now works with the president at the mansion, is doing a program at Harvard. He was the only one that the president could call upon when it comes to high tech. His name is Amara Connie. Why? Because he had high tech. So we need an education of high tech, but we also need an education of health and an education of science. Why? So that we can go and cure our people of the various diseases that plague the Liberian nation. So the first education we need is that of high-tech science and health. But we need a second education, and that education is rooted in agriculture. Why in agriculture? Because we can go back now and feed our own people. Liberia was a nation that could feed itself, but because of what we have gone through, we are now not able to feed ourselves even with our staple food. What happened? We now have to import staple food from the United States, from China, and from other places. It means if we as a people cannot feed ourselves, we stand in a very shaky ground. So we need an education that is built upon agriculture. But thirdly, we need an education that is built upon engineering. Why? Because we need to go back and build those roads and construct those bridges. We do not need to depend on other people to come to Liberia to do this work for us. We must empower ourselves with these kinds of skills. And if we do that, we will be able to change the course of history in Liberia. So the first set of skills that we need is just what I've told you about. But we also need other kinds of empowerment. What other kind of educational empowerment we need? We need an educational empowerment that will tell us about our rights. As Mandingo people, what is our right? We need to have an education that will enable us to engage civically. Civic engagement is very important. In fact, as we were talking, someone mentioned about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. In Atlanta, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, I'm proud of it. Why? Because I don't want other people to come and tell us about our own story. I want us to go and tell our own story, how we have been persecuted, how we've been neglected. But unless we tell our own story, nobody will know our story. And if we don't tell our story, guess what's going to happen? We stand the risk of extermination and negligence. So we need to be a part of it. But we need another kind of education. What education do we need? An education that makes us to empower our own women. The education of sexism. Our women are not drums to be beaten upon. Our women are our co-partners. We love them, they're beautiful, and we must make sure that we respect them. And unless we have the kind of education that will make us not to think that way, we'll continue to do that. But there's a second tool of education, of empowerment that we need. The second tool of empowerment that we need is the development of a strong leadership. The development of a strong leadership. What kind of leadership that I'm talking about? A leadership that is transformational. But not only that, a leadership that is transformational, a leadership that has a vision. Not only that, a leadership that has a vision, but a leadership that's got direction. Not only is a leadership that's got direction, but a leadership that will take lofty goals that will be achievable. That's the kind of leadership that we need. And what's the strategy for this kind of leadership? The strategy for this kind of leadership starts with the family. So that means a good leadership should be built upon the foundation of the family. Why? Because the family is the training ground for good leadership. If you can take care of your family, you can take care of us. If you can take care of small things, you can take care of big things. So family values are very important. What kind of leadership that we need? We need a leadership that will find a way to build youth leadership institutes. Why? Because we need to invest on our young people. Listen to the song. Children are our future. Don't you know that? We need to invest in them. Listen to what the great philosopher said. We can invest in marbles. We can invest in cars. We can invest in houses. But guess what will happen? All of these shall perish. But if you invest in mortal mind, it will live forever and persevere, and it will move on from generation to generation. We all can invest all the talents today. I know the question that we want to ask, how can we do this? There's some of you, I know you have done that. I give you a little bit of story that what happened. I came to the United States to do a master's and a PhD. And by the time I was finishing my master's and PhD, then there was the war in Liberia. So then there was no place to go because I was going to return to Covington where I was going to take a position. And so what did I do? I said to myself, I've made a pledge that when I finish my degrees, I'm going to go back to Liberia. So I left the United States, not knowing where to go, decided to go to Sierra Leone and look for the refugee camp where Liberians are, and went to Kenema and began to make a contribution by taking our young people to various schools in Kenema and negotiate with the Sierra Leone government so that they can all be absorbed into the system, even though many of them did not have shoes, even though many of them did not have uniforms, even though many of them did not have even tuition to pay. And I stayed there and worked with them for a very long period of time. In fact, that's where I met Brother Ahmed Salif. And then, when I returned to the United States, I said to myself, what else can I do? I have to look for a job. And I got a job with Morehouse College. And I got the commitment of Morehouse and Spelman College to give scholarship to our young talents, both men and women, to come to the United States and to advance themselves. We have about 40 of our young people who have now graduated from Morehouse and Spelman, and some of them have returned. And tonight I'm very proud to see that one of those young people, Mr. Kasumu Sila, that I brought to Morehouse, came to Morehouse, graduated, and went back home and made a contribution for 1 year. And now he's back to further his education to do a master's degree. So we all can invest in our young people. How can we invest in them? And where do we get the money? Yes, we can get the money. All it takes is the willingness to do it. All it takes is sacrifice. Think about how much money we use for the weekends. Think about how much money that we use to go to the movies. Think about how much money that we use to go to the clubs. If we all tonight can say, I take a pledge that I'll give $1 a day, I'll give $1 a week, I'll give $1 a month, guess what? Before we know it, we'll be able to generate a fund that will allow us to invest into our young people. So this is my challenge to you tonight, that forget about the club, forget about the movies. Why? Because we need that money to invest on our young people. So I want to challenge you tonight to begin to think about that. But what else do we need? We need a leadership that will refrain from all of the other problems we know about. Corruption, the problems of lawlessness. One of the things that I've observed, that as Mandingo people, we are beginning to forget our values and traditions. now that we are in this great United States, that tell you that this is the greatest freedom in the world that you've ever seen. And as a result, we're now beginning to backbite each other. We're now beginning not to respect each other. Let me say to you that unity is strength, and that united we stand, and divided we fall. We do not all have to agree in terms of the policies, in terms of what needs to be done, but we all can tolerate each other's opinion so that we can build a united force. Why? Because that's what is important. Malcolm X said it very well. How can we say that we love others when we do not even love ourselves? It will be very impossible for us to do that. But lastly, let me say this, and I want to say that I was very much proud that we went to the mosque this afternoon and began to settle some of our disputes. I think it's a good beginning, because Freddie Douglass said it very well. If we do not stop to reflect about who we are, with regards to where we are coming from and where we are going, then we do not need to exist. Because we can be critical of other people, but to be critical of oneself, it's something else. And that's why I cherish the wonderful discussion. I was saying to Brother Bamba, you know, somebody called him while we were sitting down talking about all these issues, and he said to the person, don't you know we are now engaged in an intellectual discourse? Can you believe? The brother knows so much book. We are engaged in an intellectual discourse for our own unity. And so we need to come together as a people. But lastly, we need to have a leadership of collaboration. What do I mean by collaboration? We need to be able to foster, and Brother Bellity said it, we need to foster relationship with other ethnic groups. But not only that, we need to foster relations with other ethnic groups, we need to forge alliances. We need to have inter-ethnic and inter-religious alliances. Why? Because that's the only thing that's going to help us to move what we're doing collectively. We need to come to people that share with our vision, people that share with our interests, so that we can collectively move Liberia on the right path. So I call upon this leadership to begin to reach out to other ethnic groups, not in the spirit of weakness, but in the position of strength, because we are the agents of change in Liberia, and now we cannot. So let me say lastly, Mr. President, members of the platform, friends and others, that what empowers people is their training. What empowers people is their preparedness. What empowers people is their diligence. What empowers people is their commitment. But what empowers people is their willingness to reach out to others. For together, we will do all of this that we want to do. So I call upon you today, so that if we begin to think about some of these things that I have raised, that we'll begin to put things together and we'll be able to accomplish whatever goals that we want to accomplish. With that I say, long live Liberia, long live the Mandingo people, and may God bless us all.
apology to all of you for a mistake that was made on the program sheet. Actually, the guest speaker was born in Grand Cape County, but on the sheet is there Lufa County, so that was our error, so we're very sorry for that. We will now move to the next stage of the program, which will be the installation. But we have to have somebody that will install the officers. So we have two folds. One, we have somebody that will be installing the elected officers. So we will now call on Brother Vamuya Salif to introduce our installing officer. Brother Salif.
Having said that, our installing officer, whom most people refer to as senior player, was born in Bandiba County, that's in Liberia. He started his primary education at the Arashad Islamic School in Tottenham, Bomi County. He later enrolled at the H.Q. Taylor Elementary School and completed his junior high schooling at the St. Oduwoli Junior High School as a valedictorian in 1980. He then moved to Monrovia and enrolled at the Monrovia College Industrial Training School, referred to as MC, and later transferred to Buchanan, where he completed his secondary education at the Liberian Christian High School in 1983. Our installing officer matriculated to the University of Liberia in 1985 to study mathematics and engineering. But the swing in the patterns of the political development in Liberia at the time influenced him to transfer to Liberia College to study political science. And I think I have a degree in that also. He also did sociology at that school too. The Civil War disrupted his studies, and in 1980, when he was in his final year, he was forced to leave Liberia, and he went into refuge in Guinea. In 1995, he got a scholarship from the Islamic Education Trust, IET, based in Mina, Niger State, Nigeria, to complete his undergraduate studies at the Usman Donfolio University in Sokoto, Nigeria. He graduated with a BSc honor in political science in 1997. Upon arrival in the United States in 1999, he decided to pursue his graduate studies. He enrolled at the Public Service Graduate Program at DePaul University in Chicago, where he earned his Master's of Science degree in Public Service Management, with focus on non-profit organization management in 2003. Our installing officer has worked with many formal and non-formal organizations. He was a founding member of the General Coordinator of the Liberian Refugee Student Committee, which established the first ever school system for Liberian refugees where more than 1,000 students attended in Guinea. He was president of IET, sponsored students in Nigeria also. He was also president of the International Student Association at the University of Sokoto, and now General Secretary of the Liberian Association in Missouri. He has worked as a refugee caseworker with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees UNHCR, I think many of you know that. And that it was in vain. He has also worked as a residential counselor for boys and now works as a humanitarian specialist with the Missouri Department of Mental Health. He has always been and continues to be a mentor for thousands of our Mandingo youth today. He is interested in research and can contribute a lot to build a strong Mandingo community, which the speaker really wants us to do. And I'll tell you that our installing officer, I'll skip his name since I started reading from the script, is no other or Mr. Kofi.
Your offices that will be installed very Mother Hada Mama Masache Keita, treasurer. That's our mother. Please come up. Brother Mamani Bangani Sise, VP for Operations, please come on stage. We're now calling Sister Mamiata Jabate Salif, VP for Operations. I'm sorry, administration. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming on stage Brother Mohammed Richmond Connor, President-elect.
I'm kind of confused because tonight I'm honored to be the installing officer of the Federation of the Liberian Association of Mandingos in the United States. I am excited because please sit down the audience. I'm excited and confused because I share the stage with a powerful speaker who has taken almost everything I thought I was going to say before me in that commission. Who happened to be another brother Kone. I also share a stage with my own brother who brought me to the United States, who is also president of the Liberian Mandingo Association in Chicago, Mohammed Kone. And then I share the same stage with the president-elect of the Federation of the Liberian Association of Mandingos in the United States, Mr. Richmond Kone. So I am kind of confused. But anyway, from the guest speaker's speech,